Be too hard on yourself. I'm calling the.
That's to do it. No. Change here. That should do it.
Yeah.
There we go.
Thank you. Hi, Judith. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. This is the Fallbrook Regional Health District Facilities Committee meeting of Wednesday, November 15th at 10 a.m. And I'll call for the roll call.
Director Jeffrey.
Present.
Director Ross.
Present.
Thank you.
Do we have any public comments online or in the audience?
We have nobody online. I didn't receive anything via email. And unless somebody's got a question, no.
Okay, great. All right, discussion items. We get some updates on various efforts that you and I have been reading them on, Barbara. So can you tell us about those ongoing completed projects?
Sure. So for Building B, the Education Center, we were talking about converting room 3 and 6, the last 2 classrooms at the very end of the education building, taking out that center wall, updating the interior restrooms, as well as updating the 2 exterior restrooms. I've had a couple of different conversations. Some folks think that we may have to get a permit because we're redesigning bathrooms, and others feel like you don't.
You're updating them, not redesigning.
Right. So I'm trying to get a little more clarification. I've got an architect coming out to see us in end of the month to talk about the house. So I'm gonna have them come over, take a look at that to see what we have to do.
I recently made an acquaintance with the North County Code Enforcement Officer, and I can give you his phone number. And
We
his
have-
name,
we
so
have
you can
code
have him
enforcement.
Take a look.
We have code enforcement and that's a different division from building permits.
Okay,
So the code compliance would be everything from the outside, but as far as the internal compliance, as far as ADA, whether we have to have a permit from the county
Okay.
because we're remodeling bathrooms. I'm gonna get a little more clarification.
I wouldn't
Before-
think you would need a permit on a bathroom.
That was my thought in our initial conversation with one of our contractors, like, you don't need a permit, spoke to someone else and said, because we are going from non-ADA to an ADA compliant, that we should have it redrawn permitted.
Well, then you get credit for being in compliance as well.
Yeah.
So I understand that.
So I'm gonna get some clarity before I bring that back. I started having the scope written out because we knew that was gonna probably trigger a bid process.
Yes,
So I'm still working through that process. So it hasn't died. It's just really slow to get
I'm working
some
with,
folks coming out to take a look at it.
No, Rachel, it might make sense on a liability, for liability reasons to get a permit.
Right,
In case an 88 person sues, at
Sues.
least you did it according
you
to,
did it.
To
right.
plan, to
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I'm even, I'm with you.
I-
Both of you were making that, I was gonna say that too, because a trip and fall and it wasn't permitted. So,
Yeah. And so even though it's a tenant improvement, because it's got the ADA component.
Yeah.
I went ahead and held back. We're gonna wait till the architects come out who can say, you just need a drafts person, or you need this, or whatever. Even if we just get draft and some completed plans, it shows that it's up to code. But I wanna get their clarification.
so what do you figure the timeline is going to be on this for completion? What are we looking at?
A year,
A year?
that's my expectation at this point.
and if it's sooner, hallelujah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I
It is
don't.
what it is.
I don't even have, I mean, I have appointments for the architects to come out, but I don't have plans. If we do have to go through full county permitting, 6 months minimum. I mean, that's my estimate.
Yeah.
Well, we're in compliance. I mean, straight down the line, we're in compliance.
Right. So,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah. I don't like it
It's
either,
cool.
but I know, it's just, it's slow, it's so cumbersome.
Don't
Yes,
push
but-
the river. The river's
Yeah.
gonna flow.
Trust the process, you know. Trust the process.
And verify.
And verify, trust and
Okay.
verify,
All
right?
right. Thank you for that. And, other items you might want to tell us about?
So for building A, the community room and community room 1 and 2, 1 being kind of the previous sanctuary area, 2 being the hall area. I will eventually stop saying that, but I just want to remind us all
Yes.
how we renamed those.
Mhm.
HVAC in community room 2 is already in installation. He's probably gonna be close to finished by now.
I haven't heard from him, so I'm not sure where
Okay.
they're at.
Thursday, Friday, I think this week.
Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, it was a Thursday, Friday, either this week or the following week, but it's
Yeah.
very soon.
It's very soon, so that will allow community room 2 to be back in rotation for service.
Mhm.
It doesn't solve the restroom issues over there, which are too small and doesn't serve the kitchen areas, which is too small.
Yeah.
But it will be functioning, and the HVAC has been designed so that if we do upsize and finish the commercial kitchen concept and change the bathrooms, the existing new system will be able to handle that load.
Perfect.
For community room 1, we met with the HVAC vendor. I'm waiting on an estimate from him. And this is where sometimes when you talk to people who know what they're doing, instead of us trying to figure it out. Remember the challenge with that building is the fact that originally we had this idea that we wanted to be able to open up the wall that's on the west facing, right? So that you could exit to the parking lot there. Right now, you can only exit on the 2 south doors.
Mhm.
Well, that's where the HVAC ducts are right now.
Mhm.
So when we met with the HVAC vendor, we said, this giant 5-ton unit that's right in front of the building, right in front of the parking lot, that's old and hideous.
Yeah.
Is there a way to put it over there?
Mhm.
And so he came in, he looked through the ductwork, he looked through the lines, blah, 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 long story short. He said, well, what are you gonna do in your loft area up here?
Mhm.
And I said, well, we aren't going to do anything with it because you can't have the community walk up, the stairs are not. I said, so really it's off limits. And he said, well, why can't we put the units up there?
Nice.
And I was like, and then all 3 of us, our eyes got really large. So he went and he took a look, he looked at the walls, he said, I can have 2 units up here. We would have to have our own contractor guy kind of build the screening around it, so it's a little less visibly unattractive, as well as a little bit of a sound barrier. But then the vents can blow directly out. We know cold air sinks,
Mhm.
that's a positive.
Mhm.
So we can then have that western wall be available to be opened up into a doorway
Mhm.
later if we chose.
Mhm.
But it would allow us to have better functioning HVAC in that building. We wouldn't have to have the giant 5-ton unit on that outside. You can move the other units to the back area that's hidden. You can move the lines along that wall directly to exit to the outside. So he's gonna draft up what that looks like and provide us with an estimate for what that cost could be.
So 2 things come to mind. One is the noise. So, compared to what we hear now,
It's gonna add a little bit more noise, but because it's already up and in the back of the building with the shielding of the unit,
okay,
it's gonna dampen that noise a little. You're gonna hear the hum of air conditioning though.
well, we're hearing it right now.
You're gonna hear it anyway.
Okay, I'm just,
Yeah, because that room is a big echo chamber.
and I know he probably put an eye, but just to put a point on it, the floor of the upper loft, load bearing and can
Yeah.
take the weight of these 2 units.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll probably have to change the flooring out because currently there's carpet.
Yeah.
You know what, if I may
That's nasty.
offer for consideration, do you know how you have these padded dividers that you use in a breaking up space, if you want to have one room and you have different cells, if you will? It might be something to consider to have something along a padded installation around the thing to help deflect the noise and add
Yeah.
protection to the unit as well.
Yeah, we'll have to build some sort of shielding, so we'll definitely talk about whether it's noise padded or temperature, so we'll bring that up to the contractor when we get that estimate brought in.
That's contrasting. They could have been an elevator we're trying to deal with.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
and elevator
yeah,
pits
yeah,
and boiler rooms and,
Yeah,
And
yes.
we're doing the best we can with that building. I think it's gonna be phenomenal. It's just the getting the processes completed and having to go through the steps, and it's so tedious.
But he's gonna bring back some design stuff, so you'll see that come back to committee once I get that information, but
Okay.
he's designing that after he gets community room 2 up and running,
Running.
which
Very
was a
good.
higher priority.
well, that was quick like a bunny. Thank you for facilitating it.
Oh, well, I mean, we're fortunate that our HVAC vendor has really been really easy to work with. And is a partner in helping us
It's
look
wonderful.
at the process and not just, you know.
I think another thing you might look into, just to question them, is building vibration. Because those units are sitting on rafters that are joined to all the other structure. And if they're running, is that going to make things vibrate in the building?
Yeah, I'll follow up with him to see
Yeah.
if there's any others like
That's right.
stabilization or something
So-
we'll have to put in, but.
Vibration equals energy.
Yeah.
Okay,
If there was a way to harness all of that, that'd be good.
There will be.
We'll all be wearing hats.
all right, thank you. And I think you've already updated us on the House of Wellness ADA.
Yeah, again, that goes back to once the 2 architects come out and do their walkthroughs, we'll get an idea.
Do we anticipate their arrival within the next couple of months?
So I've got one scheduled, they're coming in the week after Thanksgiving on the 30th. The other one would have already been here, but was evacuated from the previous fire that was out in Awanga.
Oh,
And so now I'm trying to get back into his schedule, so.
okay, very good. And item D, I see it's on the planning group agenda for this week, for this meeting.
Not ours.
Oh,
It might be somebody else's communication tower, but it's not ours.
okay, I'll have to go back. I thought it said us. Anyway, okay.
No,
well,
because
what's up?
I don't have a contract with them, so, we did some negotiations, some questions. I kicked it back to the FirstNet people. We're waiting for the reply from them before it can be brought back to us. Our project manager on the FirstNet side has moved and transitioned to a new person, so
Mhm,
we may it's just gonna be slow.
okay, well, no worries.
May I ask if we're going to be required to have an environmental impact report on a tower of that nature?
I don't know if we would have to, it would actually be handled by the full FirstNet team. They do this everywhere in the county, so they basically would handle all of that permitting, any reports or studies.
So FirstNet is an affiliate of AT&T or a partner
So-
of AT&T?
The FirstNet is the kind of the main group, but they're going to have AT&T's communications on that tower. So AT&T is the actual conduit for the communication lines, but FirstNet is the entity that will kind of do the coordination of the tower.
Okay. Very good, and now we move to yet another accessibility item.
This is the easiest one. The backstory is that when we've run events out there from COVID testing days all the way to our most recent Ion Health event, the challenge for people going from building A to building B is that you have to go through the parking lot.
Yeah.
And that has never been a very safe or comfortable situation because people don't always drive amazingly well in parking lots. And parking lots and pedestrians are dangerous.
Mhm.
So I met with Steve Harry from Carn Engineering, had him come out and just give me an idea. Is it possible for us to build an ADA compliant appropriate ramp from building A to building B on that far edge where, you know, we have those set of trees,
Right,
along that edge? Could we put in a ramp there? What would it potentially take? Scott took a quick look at it and he said, it's actually super easy. It's a long enough distance, it's not a deep slope. So Scott is going to kind of design that out. That's the A to B. The second one is parking lot to the lower field. So the same thing, the stairs that go down to that shade structure gazebo are fine, they're in good working order. They're steep though.
Yeah, they're steep.
There is a meandering path that goes around to the side. That, however, is not an ADA compliant ramp. The staff, when they've had to take the
Trolley.
the trolleys, the table trolleys down there, the tables get away from them.
Yeah.
So I asked him, yeah, it's too steep, to make if we were to design a ramp that runs parallel to the parking structure, has a small landing and then circles back and comes back down to shade structure. You know, again, what's the likelihood of that? And again, it's an easy problem to fix. There's money involved.
Right.
Obviously, we don't know what that just is yet. So Scott is going to draft up some ideas of what that looks like. Again, because he is a civil engineer, we don't have to worry about going through massive protocols to get this done. He's going to stamp it. We can work through local concrete contractors to get it done. So that's an easy fix, but I'm waiting for Scott to get back to me on that.
Okay, and just, I think I know the answer. This is all away from the parking lot itself, so it won't
Correct.
get disturbed when we start.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Just
parking
wanna
lot,
check.
the parking lot project through SiteLogic won't actually have anything to do with this. Once I get this information from Scott, we get some ideas, then I was gonna communicate with the SiteLogic folks and say, is this something we should do post?
Yeah.
Pre,
Good.
during, how can we coordinate these construction projects
Great.
so that we're not damaging
Yeah,
any
yeah.
one other person's work,
Good.
so.
Okay. Excellent. And Verkada security cameras.
Yes, so there have been several small incidents and a considerable amount of conversation with the wellness center team about the need to be able to have some eyes on certain parts of the facility. A, when we're there, and B, when we're not there, right? So when I was at the last CSDA conference, Verkada is an entity that does a lot of security camera gates such for lots of different special districts. We found out after the fact, they actually do it for the high school, Fallbrook High School. So we had them send, they came out, they sent some cameras, or a camera that Judith and Teresa were able to play with to see how it works, to be able to look at how it can work on an app. So unlike, you know, imagine it's a very mature, grown-up version of a Ring camera. Okay, let's just,
Yeah.
let's use the basics that we understand. There would be a camera at the front of building A that looks right at the gate. So that if somebody is coming onto the property and we have one team member on site, we'll know if somebody's entered the property. It also has the opportunity to be able to scan a license plate, so if we needed to track something happened, we'd be able to. We're not necessarily signing up for that at this point, but it has capacity. The other camera would be on the front of building A, so it would be able to look out across the parking lot and be able to see the front of building B. Again, you're having visual around that. The third camera would be on the back of building B, able to look down that one long hallway that is hidden, dark.
Yeah.
But that is also the hallway that people have to use to get to the restrooms. So from a safety standpoint, that would really cover the main areas that we're using. Some of the nice things about Verkada, and we sat through several trainings, webinars. Judith has walked the site with them a couple of
A
times.
couple of times, yeah, we take a look at everything they have to offer there and all the webinars teaching us anything that we can build off of it in the future.
Right. The nice part is that it's pretty much mostly web-based. So the apps can be easily
Remoting, yeah.
They'll keep tapes for 30 days. We didn't figure we would need longer, but let's say we did. The nice part is that they have so much capacity and so much flexibility. The fact that they're already in Fallbrook, so all of their sub vendors who actually do the camera repairs and things
Mhm.
already know the area, which was a selling point, I think, for us, instead of having to hope maybe some help desk in Sacramento might be able to help us. But they've been responsive,
Responsive.
anything.
No, so they've taught me anything on how to set up the app, how to download, how to do the motion sensor, because we were very interested in setting a motion sensor to see if anybody's on site at a specific time, and it works beautifully, so we wanted to test that feature out, very helpful. Everybody from them have, you know, they've come on site, looked at everything, given us their suggestions, so we've talked it over, so I think it's providing us what we are looking for right now. And in the future.
And in the future. So we had them provide us with a bid. The total cost for the 3 cameras, 1 year's licensing of the camera license, as well as the multi-sensor and blah, 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 blah. All of that built in, it's $15,550.
For annual?
No, that's one-time cost.
Oh, that's the equipment
That's the equipment as well. The annual cost is about $800,
for like a subscription.
basically.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, the only other security things we've looked at have been, we didn't even go this far on because they were very, more old school, hardwired. There had different kinds of censoring like you would have on your front door instead of being able to see property wide. So we didn't go back and get any farther with them. We anticipated they'd be more expensive because of what they were trying to add in. We liked Verkado, we liked their responsiveness, we liked the fact that they're using a more current technology. And then the main selling point to us was the fact that they're already in Fallbrook and they're at the high school's campus, so we knew that they were easy to work with from that.
What do you think?
I think it's a marvelous idea. I'm all for, as quickly as possible to expedite this and have security, you know, on the premises, because we're going to have more work being done over there, the protection of our staff and our guests to the facility, and the fact that the neighbors are gonna love it.
Yeah.
That we're doing so much to protect the property and make sure it's a safe environment, and it will give them a sense of relief that we're looking out for us, but we're looking out for you too. You know, because we're trying to keep any, shall we say, ill will at bay.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a real bad feeling about all of these, little incidences that are happening all over San Diego, because these people are coming here that we don't know anything about, and we don't know what's happening, and we don't know what the future is going to bring. All we can do is do the very best we can to protect our community, and I think this is an intelligent act to take on, because the fact that it's visual and you can't cut wires and you can't screw the system up on site.
Right.
You've got the heads up on it and you can react to it more promptly.
Yeah, I mean, there is a hardware component to our network on site. But you'd have to, I mean, you can cut the one over here, but you'd have to cut the other two, and you'd eventually have to be in the building or cut to the outside. From your errant walker by, or your errant somebody looking to cause mischief, it's gonna solve any of those.
Right.
But it is primarily staff safety that.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely, absolutely.
And as we start talking about having the center open one night a week, one Saturday a month, where we won't have a full complement of staffing. It's just an important piece, the fact that, you know, we have a lot of community members on site.
It's
so
a
we do
no brainer from a risk management point of view. It is absolutely necessary, I would think. And can they give you a time frame as soon as they can?
Oh, they could do it pretty fast, like they were like, we got time tomorrow.
Do you need to go bring this to the board for a vote?
Only if you all, as the committee, determine it. It's well under your $25,000 bid cap. It's above my $10,000 cap, so that's why, and it's a big enough investment, it should come to at least the committee level.
Yes, and the three things that lean me towards this are, they're already in Fallbrook.
Mhm.
It's a plus. Secondly, it was CSDA vendor. And you can bet that they get run out of town with dirty looks if other
Oh, yeah.
entities found them. And then their responsiveness. Those are the three things. I do believe, since we have never talked about this as a component of our facilities, that we should take it to the board.
Okay,
And,
Yeah.
and we're also only having one bid. So I would want that
shop around.
to be, well, no, I don't want to shop around. I'm convinced that these are it.
Okay.
This entity is it because of those three criteria I just
Gold
said.
star.
But I do think it should go to the board for approval, just because it's a new idea.
Right.
And, so that would be my thoughts.
I'll back you on that. It's,
Okay.
it's a gold star idea.
Okay.
And I think they are the perfect vendor for it, and they have a long list of credibility with the special districts. It's just justifying it to the board so that we can justify it to the community.
No surprises.
Yeah,
No surprise,
But
it's a big enough investment, obviously,
I mean, the 800, but the 15.
the initial purchase buy-in,
Yeah,
um,
and it seems reasonable too.
and this agreement pretty much covers all the cameras, so if the camera breaks down, they fix it, it's not an additional cost.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's a
Another
nice piece,
plus.
because we know technology is going to
change.
change out quickly.
Yeah,
It's gonna rapidly change, just from the first time we talked about putting out any kind of security out there to now.
Yeah, just as long as they know when we approach this, if the technology changes out, it's their responsibility, not ours.
It's theirs as long as when we stay within this contract, if, we decide. So they gave us options between 1 year and 3 year on this. I didn't look too much at the 3 year,
it was just $2,000 over, and carried a majority of everything that the 1-year contract had, it was just a $2,000 additional cost.
yeah. But the idea is maybe it's nice to just keep it at 1 year, let's see how they function.
Yeah.
Let's see where the
Let's
technology
see what
goes.
it works like.
Yeah.
So within the 1 year, if there's anything that goes awry with the cameras, then we're covered. If after the 1 year mark, AI has taken over and,
I was
Skynet
gonna say.
owns us all.
I know.
You know what, at that point, we'll just have a different conversation,
Don't have my license
Just
plate
scan
number.
as you walk in.
right? Like, just scan.
Couple of questions.
Yeah.
What? If asked why we're spending this money, what is the justification?
Justification is pretty much the safety of community and the team on site.
And are we responding to things that have happened?
Nothing dramatic has happened, but we have had incidents of folks being on site. Folks that we know were there doing things that were semi-illicit, and we only know that by the debris they left behind.
Okay. Second question, when the parking lot gets done with all the solar panels and the covers, are the cameras facing the parking lot gonna be able to show us anything?
Yeah, so that was one of the questions we asked them, and the one that would be on the church is looking down and into the parking area, so it would be able to see below the structure. The one that's at the gate and the one that's behind the education building, those wouldn't be impacted at all.
And so maybe another justification is to protect that investment, all the solar panels. There's lots of money there that we want to protect.
Yes.
And also, as we move to this non-weekday model where we're gonna have a nighttime and then a Saturday with maybe only one staff member, that convinces me too, it's time to put in cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea on the solar panel security.
Yeah, because we are making significant investments into the property. The fact that, we have smart TVs in the classrooms, we're investing in tables and chairs and things that are an investment in this property.
They're attractive.
They are.
Well, it's also improving the real estate, the quality of the real estate.
Yeah.
For Pete's sake, and our visitors as well as our staff, like I said, from a risk management point of view, no question, do it.
So
Okay.
we'll bring this forward then to the board
December.
meeting, and we'll have it listed as one of our recommended action items as a recommendation from facilities.
Uh-huh.
And if they pass it, can we ask them to expedite this?
Oh, I don't think it would take very long.
Okay,
No, they've made it pretty clear that they can do it. This is not a months-long process. This
Okay.
is a couple of weeks.
well, it gets darker sooner
It's
now.
already,
It's
You
really
know,
black
dark,
out
yeah,
there.
it's
Yeah,
really dark
and,
out
and,
there.
and activities, the winter's gonna last until.
Well, and I mean, we've already spent quite a bit of time making sure all the lights on the building are working, the timers have been reset. So we will probably come forward with changing out the lights fixtures themselves that are, the lollipops, the
In the
globe
front
lights.
of the
At
building.
both the street level and then the ones that are in front of the church,
What do you
or
mean?
in front of building A. We wanna potentially switch those up so that they have a more, downward facing
Yes.
light, not just the globe, just the updated lighting fixtures. I think we'll add a cleaner light, we'll probably be able to switch them out for an LED, which will also then provide us with a little bit of an energy saving.
I just put two elves out there with lanterns.
I don't think that works, Barbara, I haven't been able to find those elves.
Well, I just know that the day that they had the event with the volunteer police out there, the traffic was extremely obedient,
Oh, yeah,
and you had such a good exchange with your visitors and everything, and it's, the presence of the human out there.
it does make a big difference. So we, Teresa and her team over there already figured out that, when we're having events, it takes a process to get the permit to the county to have that. But the volunteer sheriffs, all of that.
Yes.
It is worthwhile for a larger event. When we're doing smaller events,
Yeah,
Especially when the parking lot is more organized.
especially once the parking lot is more organized.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for all that good thinking, and we'll look forward to the December item and our ability to influence the conversation, so. Board member comments and future agenda items.
I'd like to know if the facility has any holiday events scheduled over there. No
Not,
parties or nothing like
I don't
that.
think so, other than
We
the.
do, I haven't sent the invitation yet, but what we're doing is an event to recognize all those that have contributed to the success. So a lot of our educators and groups that have been providing some, are not being compensated. Some are partners, just to acknowledge their contribution in the form of education. So that's gonna be a little holiday event that we're having on December 8th. I will send you the invitation.
Time?
I believe it's scheduled for noon to 1:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not like the whole public coming, but it will be something to acknowledge and just continue the buzz and be able to show our gratitude to, all the organizations that have partnered with us to make it happen.
Great.
But we don't have any groups or other events scheduled. We
You mean
actually,
specifically to the holidays, but we have
specific to the
our
holidays,
ongoing offerings.
right, our regular offerings.
Yeah.
And we're already communicating about schedules so that when the parking lot does, presuming the parking lot moves forward, we will shut down the center completely, so that we're not working around
Right,
a construction site that has to do with that.
good move.
Yeah.
One thing I'd like to put out there, if I may, with regard to our diabetes education program, it would be so helpful for our educators to address the topic of how to survive the holidays with a diabetic-friendly menu. This is the hardest time of year for people who have diabetes because everything is sugar. And if they knew how to have appropriate breakfast, if they broke their meals to, smaller snacks during the entire 24-hour period, how they could get through it without the big sugar overloads and the side effects.
That's good for anybody, what you're describing.
It's true, it's true.
Chocolate.
And some of the things that they recommend, for breakfast, if they're in the way of a special fruit or vegetable, they're maybe not seasonal. So to give others, another option.
Well, I think, we're trying to get scheduled a follow-up meeting with Shay and the Fallbrook Food Pantry. That's more the diabetes self-management level, which we haven't really, we've let their program take the lead on that. So I'll follow up with them to see if she's got anything from her educator that we can help piggyback on.
Because
We do have something planned for December,
Oh,
through Scripps Whittier Diabetes Institute for that kind of reason.
Good.
So it's Living Fit and, we have to use their marketing, so it's not, flyer doesn't look holiday, but our words surrounding it and our messaging will be about the holidays. And also the end of this month at our Wellness Wednesdays, which you're welcome to come to, we're gonna do a presentation like a panel. It's called Sweet Success. And it's about the success that everyone's having with the lifestyle change and the diabetes prevention. So that will kind of be the topic around that and talking about how we can, support people through the holidays and through the rest of next year. So we do have that.
Very
going
good.
on. I forgot about
You're already
I
on
wanted
it.
to just point it and say,
Yeah,
yeah,
you're on it.
If it does come through, we may actually have one Christmas thing. I'm waiting to hear back from the group. That's a Norwegian choir
oh, how
that
lovely.
wants to do something. So if that comes through, I'll let you know, Barbara, because that would be like a nice little Christmas
Yeah,
thing.
it's great. I think you guys are doing a great job. Okay, that's, my comments.
Okay. All right, I'm adjourning this facilities committee meeting at 11:35.
10:35.
Correction, 10:35.
Man, that meeting went long.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.